Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL on a daily basis. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Aaron Summers.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Aaron Summers. Lots to look forward to this weekend as several players are getting back in action, and there will be a big ring ceremony at halftime of the Saints and Browns game. Interim head coach Darren Rizzi said the second week at the helm has been a bit smoother, but the energy has stayed high. The return of center Erik McCoy, another added boost. McCoy has been out since his Week 3 injury, and his impact has been felt. Here's Rizzi.
You know, you certainly can get more creative with a guy like Erik because there's so much he can do. He has very few limitations. And so when you bring in a backup at any position, you may try to simplify some things and not get as complicated. What Erik allows you to do is open up the whole playbook. You know, there's really nothing that the offensive line can't do with him in there. And so without getting too detailed, you know, there's really, we're not handcuffed or we're not, hamstrung into anything that we can't do. And so it opens up everything because, in my opinion, he's got no limitations as a center.
Cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry, linebacker Pete Werner, wide receiver Cedric Wilson, and safety JT Gray are all also listed as questionable. And for the first time this season, linebacker Nephi Sewell could be suiting up. Also listed as questionable, Sewell has been working his way back from an ACL injury Week 17 of last season. For today's podcast, I sat down with wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who broke out against the Falcons with 2 touchdowns. Valdes-Scantling's journey from high school ball to the Saints was really cool to hear. Let's take a listen. Marquez, thank you for joining me on the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm glad to finally get you in here. I've been asking for a couple weeks, but they wanted you to get on the field first. So I'm happy to have you. How are you?
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be a Saint.
Coming off a huge game for you, 2 touchdowns, 109 yards. There was the 67 that was the long, but the 40 was the touchdown. So which one was your favorite?
Probably the second touchdown, to be honest, because I was a little upset.
So neither of those that I just said.
Yeah, neither.
Okay, cool.
I think the second touchdown was probably my favorite because I was a little upset that I got pushed out of bounds inside the 5. So I'm like, man, they're going to give my touchdown to somebody else. And then, we tried to run the ball on the first 2 plays and gave me a shot in the third play. So I was excited about that one the most, probably.
Okay, that makes sense. How has it been fitting in here, joining a new team?
It's been great. I have a lot of former teammates that I played with in Green Bay and Kansas City that have kind of just helped me, make some familiar faces. Kind of getting put into a new system, new team at the drop of a hat. It's not always easy, but I had a lot of familiar faces here, and obviously. Just coming to a place that I know pretty well. I got some family that's from New Orleans. My dad's side of the family's from here, so it's a familiar area, and I'm just excited to be here.
You missed out on the cold in Buffalo.
Yeah, I had 6 years of playing in the Midwest, so I don't think I missed out on too much of it.
True.
I got more than enough for the average time in my career. So I think I'm cool with the warm weather down here.
Yeah, I can guarantee you won't see snow here.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that too. I had enough of that.
Speaking of your time in Kansas City, 2 Super Bowls there, what was your favorite memory from your playing time there?
Honestly, just obviously winning 2 Super Bowls and scoring a touchdown, and one of them is, some pretty cool things to do. A lot of guys can't say they've even been to the playoffs, let alone to 2 Super Bowls back to back. But just those friendships that I made over there, learning from one of the greatest offensive-minded coaches in the history of football, greatest coaches in general. I think, just life lessons and values that I learned from Coach Reed was something that I'll forever be indebted to. And then, some of those teammates that I made over there are going to be lifelong friends.
I saw your interview after the game on Sunday, and you said that Derek Carr was one of your favorite quarterbacks. Why?
Yeah, I mean, just, I played with Devontae Adams for 4 years when I was in Green Bay, and he would always rave about DC all the time because obviously they're really close friends. They play college ball together, and he would just talk about just the type of player that he was, type of man that he was, and turning the tape on him and watching him play even before I got here. I always thought that he could play. I've played against him when I was in Kansas City when he was playing for the Raiders. So I got to see him, twice a year for 2 years, and got to see him when I was in Green Bay, and he just always made plays. Whether their record was, 4-12 or they were 12-4, he was always out there ready to spin it. And I've always admired, his ability to throw the ball deep. And I was able to get a couple of those last week.
Yeah, how good was that to
it was
get on the field, score, and connect with him?
It was great. Obviously, I hadn't had a whole lot of reps, and then the Carolina game, I kind of got thrown into the fire when a lot of wideouts went down. So I kind of wasn't really prepared for that moment per se, because they were trying to ease me into it, and kind of got thrown into the fire. So they didn't really have a lot in the game plan for me at that point. And then obviously going into the following week, they were like, "Hey, you got to go," and so I was ready for it, and was able to make some plays. And Derek stood in the pocket and just made some throws to me that he trusted me in.
You were 3 of 3, two touchdowns
Yeah.
and 109 yards. That's crazy. Right now, you rank top 5 in the NFL for largest average depth of target. 4 out of the last 5 seasons. So this is something that you do.
Yeah.
You've been doing this your whole career. At what point did you realize that you were that fast and you could utilize your speed for that?
Obviously, coming out of college, I ran 4.3, and there's not many guys that are my size that can run that well. And then it doesn't really translate over to the football field always when you run that fast. And so, luckily, I didn't get fast until later into my high school career, and going into college is when it really started to excel. But I learned how to play receiver first, and I played baseball first, and so just being able to track the ball and do that stuff was like priority one. And then getting faster, I was just able to do it faster now. So I think that was just something that kind of just gradually became who I was, but it's not all I could do.
Yeah, you said, luckily, I got faster later. And I was like, where is he going with this? Because I think I would have just liked being fast the whole time. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got cut from your high school team. From that moment, as a freshman, what were you thinking? Like, did you not...
Yeah, I wanted
Did you
to hang
always
it up.
want to be an NFL player and then you get cut? Or how'd that all go down?
I played baseball. Baseball was my first sport growing up. And that was, my first love of sport. I didn't start playing football till a couple years after I was into baseball first. Started off as a T-ball player. And then, played Little League football. I had never played receiver. I played like a little bit of tight end when I was like, my last year of like Little League football. But like I never played wide out, never did anything wide out related. I was a small kid. I was, I don't know, like going into the 9th grade, I think I was like 5'7", 100 and, 30 pounds, some super scrawny little kid with big feet. And so, freshman year, just trying to make the team, just didn't. Just wasn't good enough, didn't have the ability, didn't have the talent. And so I was just, all right, I'm going to hang it up. I'm going to go play baseball. And, that was it. And I talked to my dad, after not making the team, I was like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm sitting in the hallway crying with him, like, I don't want to do this. I want to play another sport or do something else. And he was kind of just like, use that same, anger that you have as motivation. I'm not going to let you just quit. And, then that's when I was like, those words kind of just stuck with me. And it just never was about like proving anybody wrong. It was always about proving myself right, because I knew I can do something. And, after that year, I was kind of just the ball boy and like, kind of on the team, but not really. They kind of let me dress out like one game, like the last game of the season, and like that was it. And then, going into the next year, I just started really taking the game of wide out serious. Became annoying to like my receiver coach. Hitting him up all the time, like, hey, can we work out? Can we work out? I'll meet you here. I'll meet you there. Can you give me some drills? And it just became like an obsession for me. And after that, it just kind of started to excel each year, and finished my senior year with like 38 offers to go pretty much anywhere in the country. And so it kind of all worked out.
When you were sitting in the hallway and talking to your dad, did you then decide to go ask for another chance, or what, kind of like you said you were like the ball boy, kind of hung around the team?
Yeah, it kind of just was around. I would ask, okay, can I just be around? Can I just be a practice player, whatever it was. I just wanted to be a part of the team. And like I was still playing baseball at the time. I didn't stop playing baseball until, I don't know, maybe midway through my 10th grade year. And I was just like, I just want to be around because I loved football. I fell in love with the sport of football. And, going into it, I was just like, I just got to do something. So like I said, it was either ball boy or they would let me practice and I would go out and practice. I had to buy my own helmet, my own equipment. But, my parents went out and bought me a helmet so I could be on the team and we made it work.
So you decided that you wanted to play football over baseball? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's worked out for you pretty well.
Yeah, baseball is a super expensive sport, especially in high school. And so, because you don't really get recruited through your high school team. It's more like travel ball and all that. So you got to be able to afford to go, across the country and play and do all these things every weekend. And not like my parents couldn't afford it, but they had 2 other kids, and it was just a lot to just be like, hey, we're going all across the country to baseball every weekend to get you to go to college. It was like, it just wasn't, financially sound. So I stuck with football, and I guess it all paid out. Yeah,
definitely. When you were senior, you had 33 offers, that you said? 38 offers. Why'd you decide to go to NC State?
It had everything that I wanted. I was adamant on leaving Florida to go. I had never really been outside of Florida at that point.
Okay.
It had the major that I want, which is sports management, because I wanted to be an agent when I got done playing. It was in the ACC. They had a pretty, open, wide-out room where I can go in and compete to play as a freshman. And so it had everything that I wanted, checked every box. My mom was adamant on the academics part. So obviously them having my major in a sport management program for what I wanted to do, all those things kind of just lined up. And, I wanted to go play, big boy football in the ACC. And I feel like it was a good spot for me to go to at that time.
Yeah, because you left SEC country to go to ACC.
Mm-hmm. And, like I said, it was just, I was adamant on, I wanted to leave Florida. I wanted to see other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I left out of Florida and, I'm going to go to North Carolina and play ball. And I was there for 2 years, and it didn't end up working out how I wanted it to. Like I said, I started as a freshman. I did all the things that I wanted to do. But I just wasn't, happy in that space. And so I decided to transfer to South Florida. And I think that was the best decision of my life up until that point. And I had to sit out a year, which sucked. But I think that was great for me because I got to learn from, I think, one of the best defensive coordinators that I've ever been around, which was Tom Allen. And I think he's the D coordinator at Penn State right now, I believe. But I got to be on scout team, and I got to learn about defense and understand it from a defensive perspective and how to see the game. And so when I got to play the next year as a wideout, I just understood football at a different level. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was a huge asset for me.
It seems like when things get hard for you, or you don't necessarily have what you want, or the opportunity isn't there, in high school, and then when you had to sit out for a year, you find something else that you can put your work into to then better yourself.
Yeah.
And I know the start of this year probably didn't go the way that you wanted it to in Buffalo, but you've kind of found a new opportunity here. How have you handled that and kind of attacked this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I left Kansas City, I had options to go a bunch of different places, and I thought Buffalo was going to be the best fit for me going into it. And, things don't always work out how everybody wants it to. People go in different directions. People have different visions of what they want. And, I think we were at a point where, I feel like I wasn't being utilized correctly and to my best ability, and they probably felt they weren't getting the best out of me either. And so we agreed to part ways. And I was like, hey, man, I think that it's best for us to just do this way. And, we tried to make it work for a couple of weeks, and we couldn't get on the same page. And so they decided to, let me leave and find a new home. And, hopefully I can continue to thrive here and, finish off my career the way that I want to.
Yeah. Outside of football, what do you like to do?
I love my dogs, so I'm a big homebody. I'm usually at the house hanging out with them. I'm big into video games, and I'm big into fashion. So I have, my own clothing line. I have my own screen printing company. I like to design clothes, I like to make clothes, and I like to play video games. I love to cook, and I'm just super boring, just in the house.
That's not boring at all.
Super boring. I'm in the house. You know, I don't go out pretty much at all. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So I just kind of just like to be around my people and do the things that I enjoy.
6 selections. That's the clothing line.
Yeah. So it stands for Successful Innovative Kings, and it's me and my 2 best friends. We started it my rookie year in the league, and we've just kind of continuously grown that thing. And I hosted my first fashion show last spring called Lux Fashion Fest, and that was cool. So we'll be doing that again this spring coming up, and hopefully I can continue to broaden my fashion horizons and, you know, get into one of these, you know, Paris Fashion Week things, and, you know, continue to grow my fashion show. So now we can have the Lux Fashion Fest be one of those staples in the.
I always see Alvin Kamara going to all the fashion shows overseas. So maybe you just give him some of your gear.
Yeah, I'll hop on a plane with him and say, we're going together.
Exactly. There you go. So do you design all of the clothes?
Yeah, I design all the clothes for my brand. You know, like I said, me and my 2 best friends, we all have different roles for what we do in the company. But I am the designer. And then, like I said, I have my own screen print company. So we make a lot of the garments in my company as well.
Very cool. Do you wear any of it?
Yeah, I wear it all the time. And like I said, it's a mix between streetwear and high end, you know, luxury fashion. So you know, who knows? We'll just pop it out with it one day, and that's what it is.
Yeah. You said that you wanted to do sports management because you wanted to be a sports agent eventually. Has that changed?
I wouldn't say that it's changed. I probably wouldn't be an agent. You know, just for the amount of time that has to go into it. You don't
want to go to law school?
Yeah, I mean,
fair.
It's not even that, because like I said, when I was growing up, that's what I always wanted to be, was an agent. My best friend's a lawyer, and so, you know, I can lean on her if I need to. But I do think I do want to open a sport management firm, you know, so whatever that looks like, still one of these days. I think that's next on my list. I'm an entrepreneur by trade, so I'm always thinking about different business ventures that I can get into, especially things that I'm passionate about.
What is the history behind your last name?
So I have 2 last names. My biological father, his last name is Valdez, and then my stepdad, his last name is Scantling. And I don't talk to my biological father at all. And he wouldn't let my stepdad adopt me. Because my stepdad's been in my life since I was 2 years old. So that's who I call Dad. And he's been around, been to every football game, you know, has never missed anything that I've done in my life. And he wouldn't let me change my name until I, you know, obviously once I turned 18, I had the rights to, you know, say that. But if you're under 18, you have to have both parents sign off on your name change. And he wouldn't sign off on it. And so once I turned 18, I was going to change my last name completely, but by that point, I was in the middle of football season. I was getting recruited. I didn't want to lose out on, you know, coaches can't find who I am, you know. So I decided just to add the hyphenation to my last name, and it kind of just stuck, you know. So that's the backstory about the 2 last names.
Yeah.
So once I, you know, have kids and get married, you know, it'll just be Scantling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have earrings on right now, and I think you wear them pretty much all the time that say MVS.
Yeah.
So that's a cool nickname. You're good with that.
I mean, it just kind of stuck. It's been like my brand now. So it's cool. You know, it's a cool little thing. One of my teammates from college made me this logo years ago, and it just kind of stuck. And now it's on everything that I do. So.
Where's your family now?
They're in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have some family out here in New Orleans. Like I said, I'm from my dad's side. They live out here, but most of my family is down in St. Pete, Florida.
Do you get back there a lot?
Yeah, I live in Tampa in the off season, so it's about 30 minutes away, and all of my businesses are down in St. Pete, in the Tampa Bay area. So I'm there.
In the off season, how do you spend your time? You're just there in Tampa mainly?
Yeah, I travel. I'm in my offices, you know, working on clothing, working on growing my business, learning how to print, learning how to sew, just doing all things fashion related. That's kind of what I just love to do. I'm a workaholic, so you know, I don't really spend it just wasting away. I I wake up early and I get to do something. I can't just sit in my bed, and I love to work. And then, like I said, I spend my free time by playing video games or at the dog park with my boys.
Mm-hmm. What are you looking forward to in this weekend's game against the Browns?
Just another opportunity. I think they got a really good defense. We got some really good guys in the back end too, and so I'm excited just to go out there and another opportunity to continue to showcase, what I still can do in this league.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I do too.
I know Jameis Winston's coming back to the Dome. I don't know how much you know him.
I know him really well. Like I said, he lives in Tampa. We train together in the off season. So I run routes with him all the time. I know him really well. Okay, so what are you expecting from him coming in here? I mean, I know what he can do. I know how talented his arm is. Obviously, his decision making has been, up and down throughout his career, but he's led the league in picks and also led the league in touchdowns. So he's talented, and so we got to get home and be able to, get him off his track so he doesn't lead the league in touchdowns over the weekend. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's been a different start to your time here with the coaching change and different schedule changes and things happening all of last week, but how do you feel like things are going, and how's the locker room?
I mean, like I said, I got here 1 week, and then we got a new coach the next week. Yeah. And so it was already all new to me anyway, so, I don't know what it was like before. I came here, and we lost to the Panthers, and that was pretty much my experience of being here. Mm-hmm. And so it's all new, but I think Riz has done a great job of holding everybody accountable and setting a standard of, how he wants everything to look, and everything having a purpose, everything having rhyme and reason of, why we're doing things the way that we do things. And I think that's been super beneficial. I can see the guys buying into it. And like I said, I've been a part of some really great football teams over my career, and that's how it's supposed to be done. The way that practices look right now is how things should look. The accountability from, top to the bottom. I think that's super important. We still have our hiccups, still have our ups and downs, but I think it's definitely moving in the right direction. I love what Riz is doing.
How was the Dome for you?
It was a cool experience. I played here back, I think, in 2020 or 2019. I don't know. It might have been COVID, so it wasn't that loud. Yeah. But this was my first time here with a full crowd, and that thing was rocking. I was like, man, I didn't realize it was this loud in here. I was asking guys on the sideline, are they pumping noise in here? Is it just really this loud in here, regularly? And it was a cool experience. And like I said, for us to be at that position, with our record, and the fans to still be out and supporting the way that they were, it was a sight to see.
Yeah. Well, you gave them a show.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they appreciated that.
It was cool.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me and letting me catch up with you, learn a little bit more about you, and looking forward to this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Great to catch up with Marquez and appreciate him giving us the time. It's a big weekend in New Orleans, as many former Saints players will be in town for Legends Weekend, and one legend will receive the highest honor at halftime of the Browns game. Former New Orleans Saints guard and current offensive line assistant coach Jari Evans will be inducted into the club's Ring of Honor. With Evans being honored at halftime, he won't be able to be with the team in the locker room, which Coach Rizzi said is just fine.
I'm gonna tell you, he's a Saints legend, so he can do whatever he wants. Hopefully Jari is. It's a great honor for him. Really, really happy for him. I remember back when he was a college player, a Division II college player, because I told you I cut my teeth in coaching in Division II at the University of New Haven, and so we used to play Bloomsburg all the time. So I'm a big Northeast D2 guy, and so to see what he's done, what he's able to accomplish from starting at that level is really, really impressive. So I'm going to let Jari enjoy his day. He can stay out.
We'll have complete coverage of the big weekend on NewOrleansSaints.com, so make sure you follow along there. Join us for our pregame show at 11 a.m., and I hope to see everyone out at the Dome on Sunday for the noon kickoff versus the Browns.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.